directly in your face.
Yeah, I don't have a way around it. Maybe.
Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms. Tonight, we're going to answer questions from a vote. What? Explain that later. But first, what's everybody been up to? Nick, I see your dad is often traipsing around the universe.
He's lucky. He's in a free state right now.
Freedom's cool.
Exactly. But yeah, other than that, he wishes he was home, but yeah, he's got to go make the money.
There you go.
That's good. That's good. He's got more. That gives him more toys to play with.
Absolutely.
76 Highboy Reloading. If your gunsmith sent that to the wrong address, he's liable to replace it.
It's a joke, Mike. It's a running joke. Him and Andy's 79Z28.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Never mind.
That's a registration joke. I got it.
Okay.
One of the things where it fell out of the boat.
Yep. So.
Okay, Mike, you saw that?
Yeah, I'll message him after the show and we'll get stuff set up. We have a guest already for next week, but maybe we can look at 2 weeks out.
Yo, there's a stranger. Wow, yo, who's that guy? I'm going to go kick that old man out.
It's been so long you forgot how to use.
He's in that virtual room. Sharenda's in the virtual room, too.
No, I'm laughing about Andy and 76.
Wide Earpy roll. Okay.
So. Well, hi, Jason. You might want to turn the virtual background off because it really sucks.
And you also, he already unmuted.
My virtual background sucks?
No, it sucks bandwidth.
How do I do that?
Click settings.
Hey, that's a lovely echo you got there.
Jason, click settings and then look in there to the left. It says virtual background. Just uncheck that. Make sure everything's unchecked.
Okay, none.
That's where you want it.
There you go.
Okay.
You have a good night too there, 76 Highway Reloading. So, Jason, what you been up to?
I might have done one or two things since the last time I talked to you guys.
Yeah?
Well,
you changed addresses.
I did change addresses. I bought a AK-12.
Nice. Which brand?
Am I still on?
Yep.
So I bought an AK-12 and bought a 22 long rifle, old school, used one.
What'd you get?
I do not remember what that 22 is. It's just nice. It's an old classic. I can't remember anymore. I got short memory, term loss, Mike. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. You definitely suffer from CRS.
Well, is my internet bad or is everybody's internet bad?
Just yours.
Yeah. Are you getting
So
lagging a little bit, Jason?
Just recently, I went and took a concealed carry class. I forget the terminology, but so we can get carry concealed licenses in other states for Idaho. And so Jake and I did that. And while we were sitting there, I got to thinking I need me a 9mm. I don't know why. because I can buy one in about 15 minutes here in the free state of Idaho, maybe. And so the other day I went down to the store and I got myself a Gen 5 Glock 19.
Ooh,
Yeah.
staple gun.
Uh,
Staple gun.
Talk about.
There's nothing
stirring
wrong
up.
with the Glock.
My God, Paul.
It's a staple gun. That's all it is.
In Jason's strong
'Cause it's a
hands,
Glock
I bet you
or-
he can shoot. He
Because
can
it's a
fire
Glock.
Okay. I like my Glocks.
I agree with you,
Jason, you
Jace.
remember
There's
Paul
nothing wrong with the
Mescal?
Glock.
Here's my everyday carry. Okay, guys?
What do you got?
It's a little Smith. Little compact Smith. M&P.
Went shooting a couple of times, just not for very long, because when we went, it was snowing and it was very cold. But I did. I went fishing with Jake this last weekend, and I took my 9 with me. And when I went to grab the ammo can that I made up for Kathy when she bought her 9mm, there's like 50 rounds left in it. Nobody told me. So I'm going to have to man up and find my press and get it mounted. And I guess I'm going to cast projectiles because I was looking at projectiles online and they're a little spendy, I think. But so
Rocky Mountain Bullets is supposed to be pretty good. So is Missouri Bullet Company.
okay.
You mean Rocky Mountain Reloading, Mike?
Yeah, Rocky Mountain Reloading. That's right. I forgot they relabeled.
Okay.
Used to be R&B. Now it's RMR.
I have been kind of watching for primers when I go out to the sporting goods stores. And
Shields is a good one to keep an eye on if you've got one.
we don't have one nearby. I'll have to look and see where the closest one is. But
Go to Buck's surplus supply.
Buck's surplus supply.
Yeah, it's over in Blackfoot.
Write it down, Jason. Write it down.
Jason knows what I'm talking
Speaking of
about.
which,
Yeah.
so when I was taking our carry conceal enhance course,
Yeah.
our instructor was saying he's too busy, doesn't have time to reload. And he says, I've got massive amounts of components. I could probably make 10,000 rounds. And Jake and I look at each other like rookie numbers.
Exactly.
10,000 rounds. I think that's what I can do in 5.56.
Yeah, there you go. I can't see spending that kind of money on primers nowadays. I might have to get used to it at some point, but right now it's like, I'll pass.
Well, if the rumor that's been floated is true, we all might have to get used to it. Because the single largest conglomerate of bullcrap known as Vista Outdoors is talking about not filling whatever orders they have now, and then that's it.
For the year.
Or more.
Yeah.
So that's Remington primers, Federal primers, and CCI primers.
And Winchester is stuck with the federal contracts. So because they're running Lake City now.
Yep.
And so unless the new primer companies come up and start to produce, we are kind of stuck where we're at.
Yeah. Well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the next year and a half, get used to $80 a thousand for primers.
Or depending on where you're at or where you're buying them from, 120.
Right.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. That's the way it looks like it's going to be for a bit.
Yeah.
Now, what we're hoping, there's one primer manufacturer in Texas that is not owned by Vista that's in the process of building. So we're hoping that's a possibility.
They are producing primers at this time, not
Okay.
full force yet. And they have a certain amount of primers that they have promised certain ammunition manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not full force yet. They are still hiring people to get the plant up and running to get primers moving faster. So that's where that one is. The other one up by you is still under construction.
Yeah, but they're going to be producing full cartridges. They're not going to be selling primers. The one they're building up in Manitowoc or whatever.
Okay.
That one's going to be full ammo manufacturing.
They're not going to make primers.
Not to sell, no.
No. So we only have one manufacturer then.
There's supposedly, maybe now that Vista's actually is pulling this crap and seems to be serious about it, maybe Gresham will actually tell us who the other primer manufacturer is going to be. So, but there's talk of Wolf and Tula suddenly becoming Czechoslovakian companies. Or Mexican companies. And that's serious talk. So,
prior manufacturing is a little fun. If you don't mind,
go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind standing in a little bit of water and a wire attached to your wrist as you roll out a dough of priming material onto a plate and use a plastic spatula to push it through the holes and go from there. Yeah, it's a punching out the brass for the primer at the right thickness, getting the right thickness for the anvils, getting the anvil sized right. There's a lot of work that goes into it, guys. And yes, there are issues of getting raw materials for primers. Brass for it is being outsourced and from other countries, and getting it in is tough. Even though we have the largest copper manufacturer here in the United States, or mine, I should say.
Yeah.
You go to Arizona and you go look at that copper mine, and you just kind of look over the edge, and but it's an interesting situation. And we're not the only country that has primer issues.
No.
And it just seems that we're always in a little gunfight somewhere along the lines in the world nowadays. So, anyway, we lost Jason again.
No, he turned his camera off.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'm here. I'm just having connection issues.
So
All right,
told
sir.
him to turn his camera off and save some bandwidth. So,
What you do, Nick?
I didn't do a whole lot this week. Just start filming some videos for an overview on a rifle we're getting ready to do. Deprimed some brass. That's about it for this week. So plus I had to work all weekend. So
Yeah, little lady. How about you?
This past weekend, I took a falconry class because I kind of have an interest in falconry. So being the big kid that I am, I cheated and used a little bit of board member perks, and we reached out and located some women falconers in our area that came out and did a 4-hour clinic with us. And I got to hold a couple of birds of prey. So that was pretty awesome. And they talked to us about all the details that's involved with it. And I got arrangements later when hunting season is open to actually go out in the field with one or both of them and just follow behind them in the falcon and see how they work. So that was cool. And I'm going to take muzzle loading, traditional and modern, this Saturday just because I was curious. So that's going to probably be about 8 hours. Got a bunch of outdoor things coming up. I'm going to go cave crawling for the first time. I'm not excited about that, but I'm constantly nagging that if we want people to do things we're interested in, and we have to do some of the things they are.
So you're a little claustrophobic?
I'm not claustrophobic that I know of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I told them worst case scenario, I'll be sitting at the mouth of the cave with a cup of coffee in hand, waiting for them to come out.
And a flashlight, so they know where to go, right?
Yeah, and that'll be my first time doing actual camping too. So I got a bunch of firsts wrapped up in these next few weeks.
So you get yourself a ball of string, so you can, when you go there, you can roll it out behind you so you can find your way back.
Paul, my main concern is, am I going to be able to fit through areas in this cave? And then I have a couple of nieces that are expressed interest in learning how to use firearms. So I have one of them coming over this weekend.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Safety and mechanics. Yeah. So that was out the blue. I was like, oh, okay. And then I have to do camp at the end of the month. It's Bo, Become an Outdoor Woman, and I'm one of the pistol instructors out there for the weekend. So
nice.
A lot of stuff going on. All girls, and all the husbands are like, can they identify? And we're like, no, stay your butts at home. We're going outside. That's about it. Other than I may be purchasing a compound bow here soon. So.
Thought you had a crossbow.
A crossbow.
Oh, excuse me.
I want a compound bow too.
Excuse me. I think you'll find the crossbows a lot easier using the compound.
Well, now that I have that crank assist, it's actually, I really enjoy the crossbow, but I like options.
Yep.
I like options, just like I only need one shotgun. And look at me now. I got to have one for each different thing.
Well, that's good. Sounds like a full month there, everything you got going.
Oh gosh, my whole summer's planned out. It's even gotten as bad as women that can't go to our clinics and classes. They've even begun reaching out individually, asking us to, asking me or asking us to do stuff. So even on my own free time, I'm doing something.
Good.
And it's not by obligation, just because it's fun. So who knows what I'll end up doing.
Oh, you threw something up there, Mike, from Elk Blood 01.
Yeah, I was gonna put it back up later.
Okay, we'll go do that later.
Yeah.
I'll jump in and say went out shooting this weekend on Sunday. When it finally stopped raining here for a couple hours. Trying to put some precision loaded 223s through the one of my bolt guns, and did okay. but we're going to try now, try a couple of new things and a little bit closer tolerances on the rings compared to the dies and the case head. So we're going to try that out. Other than that, got to clean the room up a little bit with it's been raining all the time, so enjoying a good duck weather day.
Yeah, it was pretty good here today, but we've got thunderstorms rolling in later, so
Yeah.
I didn't do much at all this week. I did pick up a couple of these.
speed loaders.
Yep, from a Dan Wesson.
There you go.
Oh.
Oh, boy.
You gotta get these. You gotta try these.
What brand is that, Paul?
Safari Land.
Oh, okay. Is that just the push button?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I had some really nice ones that were billet aluminum.
these are old.
Yeah.
But they're fast.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the company, but I got them from.
Old and fast, Paul. Really? Come on. Those two things don't mix.
What?
Old and fast. Those two things don't mix.
Oh yeah, these do.
Yeah, Andy's Z20 Andy's 79, Z28. Yes, Andy, I did say Dan Wesson.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Nick, did you go?
What's that?
What you been up to?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim did, Paul did, Sharonda did, Jason did. So I guess it's up to me. Worked a little bit in the reloading room, organizing some more, and then worked at Cabela's. So, and then I got a package in the mail. Not that one. That's later. Put that down. So I got a package in the mail from Primary Arms, and he sent me this.
Nice.
What's that black tube looking thing?
he's got his work cut out for him.
Its official description is an Expo Arms Patrol Series AR barreled upper receiver with a 16-inch barrel and a flash hider. So, which is going to go on the lower that my current is on. But I got to swap the bolt carrier out. But see, this is the fun thing about this platform is, ta-da, now it's almost ready. Ow, give me that. So, anyway.
You got all that load development now to do.
Yeah, I'm going to make some subsonics. Oh, yeah. Dumbass. Trying to figure why it won't come out. Dumbass. So, yeah, this is the nice thing about this little platform is nice and easy. To change out. Of course, it works so much better when you.
Now pull the bolt out.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, now drop it in. Now drop the charging handle in.
Not all the way. Yeah, something's in your way. The charging arms slide right in there. No, don't hit it. Don't hit it. Don't hit it.
No. It should just flop down in the bottom there.
Mike, you sure you don't have some kind of obstruction in that slot?
No. No obstruction.
The charging end should fall right into place.
Now pull it out and push it on about three quarters in, and then slide it up.
Oh, I see.
He found the obstruction. It was between his ears.
Now pull the handle partially out. Now drop it in. Now drop the bolt carrier in. There we go. Us old military types.
There got to be an easier way. Mike, you're muted. I think you muted your microphone in line because your screen's not muted.
And you're still muted, Mike.
I'm not sure he's even hearing us. Mike, you're muted. Mike, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but you're muted, bud.
Oh, that's cool.
There you go.
I was muted and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
You couldn't hear us either.
No, because I hit the volume down button with. So you guys didn't even get to hear the nice sound.
No.
Nope.
No.
Music to my ears.
Yep.
Full carrier group going forward.
Yeah, so as I was saying, you guys couldn't hear me. Nice thing is I got a Strike Fire 2. So
Ooh,
it's easy enough
that
to
is a
switch out.
sexy looking beastie.
Yeah, red and green.
Now gotta get you to Cerakote that sucker.
Maybe. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is we mentioned the plunk test a few times, and we've showed it a couple times. But what I wanted to show you, this is a barrel. This is the barrel out of my P365. This is a dummy round 9mm. Notice,
Okay.
no primer. It's also got a little bit of a flare issue.
You have a propellant in that cartridge?
Nope.
I know it's a stupid question, but you need
No,
to
it's a
ask.
good question. As you can also see, it's got a little bit of a flare issue. I didn't
Yep.
quite crimp it back as good as I should have. But what I want to know is, will it fit? Ta-da! It fits.
Flush with the breech face. Actually, it's not the breech face, but that's where the bolt
Yeah.
or the barrel touches the breech face.
Yeah. So the barrel actually sits in the firearm like this. And so I'm looking to see if it's lining up like it should, which this is usually in your handgun barrels. You're not going to have a full surround. You're only going to have a partial. And so you may have to look at how it's set up with the bolt coming up to it and where the extractor goes and everything to see what actually should be flush when you're trying to do a plunk test. But the reason we call it a plunk test, I don't know if you can hear that or not, is when you drop it in, it kind of makes a plunk noise. So,
Yep.
although this one, because that extra flare, rattles around a little bit before it drops in. But that's what we're talking about with the plunk test. is you're looking for that flush across there. Quit looking at my ugly mug and look at the barrel. So. Someday I'm going to get a camera that actually works for this purpose. There we go.
Looks good, Mikey.
So that's the plunk test. All right, gang. Enough of that now. Sherez on her first cup of coffee for the show. She ought to just like buy a carafe and keep it next to her.
No, it makes me get up off my arse, get some steps in.
Sure. Cheers.
That looks like a 30-ounce cup, Shrenda.
It is. It's the second one since the show started.
That's why I said it was your first refill.
Yep.
All right. So we got a question in the audience. For Elk Blood 01, Devil's advocate for Paul. I know the answer, but would love to see some screwed up minds. Does wind have more of an effect on the bullet at the muzzle or at 1,000 yards?
At the muzzle. It's really simple. Minor deflection at the muzzle has a larger effect on it downrange because of the angle how it's being affected. In other words, the blow off at 2 inches at 1,000 yards, not a big deal. But if you move 2 inches at 100 yards and you're going another 900 yards, you're going to have a problem. You have more. It'll have more deflection.
Mm-hmm. So maybe the proper way to phrase that question would be: does the wind have more an effect on the bullet closer to the muzzle or closer to 1,000 yards?
It has more effect at the muzzle.
Yeah. Are you going to really get wind effect at the muzzle though?
You're not going to notice a whole lot, but a degree, let's call it a degree. Okay. And if we take a degree and move 1 degree off and you multiply that, as we look at it, as we call 1 minute of angle at 300 yards is 3 inches, right?
Yep.
So if we've gone from a group that's centered on our target at 300 yards, and all of a sudden we've moved 1 degree off or 1 minute of angle off. So all of a sudden we've moved 3 inches off of our target at 300.
Mm-hmm.
Take that all the way to 1,000, and all of a sudden you're talking, a lot of distance. 10, 12, 14 inches, depending upon how much the wind moves and what the total effect is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Minute of angle, 1,000 yards is 10.5 inches.
Right, 10.48. Right. So if you move 1 minute of angle at the muzzle, you're moving that. If it moves more, well, you got even more, and it's easier to move the bullet at the muzzle. So that's where we're at, guys.
All right. So my main question or thought was, I didn't realize that you'd really get any push at the muzzle itself. I thought maybe, a little farther out, but
It's our wind will affect the bullet right from the muzzle. Okay, it will start to push it right away. So
Mm-hmm.
you're, even the slightest deviation opens a group up when you're shooting from a bench. Okay.
Yeah.
So you know that. So what happens when something else is pushing it?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to move it.
Yeah. And that was kind of the thing I guess I'd never really thought about. When people talk about wind drift, I never really even given it any thought that, I mean, you probably have to have a decent amount of wind. I'm pretty sure like a 5 mile an hour is probably not going to knock it off, but at least I'm thinking that. I don't know. Am I wrong? Is a 5 mile an hour wind strong enough to
5 mile an hour wind's strong enough to move a bullet
at the muzzle,
at the muzzle,
no matter what speed it's going?
no matter what speed it's going.
Wow. I never realized that. I
Yeah.
shoot in the wind all the time for 100 yards and didn't really pay attention to it.
It's a theoretical thing, actually, but Paul's not wrong. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we don't think about it, but in theory, even a 1 mile an hour puff of wind will affect the bullet's flight at the muzzle downrange.
Mm-hmm. And what you don't see at 100 is because you're not seeing, that 5 mile an hour is maybe only moving it a quarter inch. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so as it goes farther down, so now you at 200, you're at a half an inch. At 300, you're at what, 3/4 of an inch.
Right.
Mhm.
At 1,000
And-
yards, you're 2.5 inches.
Right. So
This
You
is
don't-
all under laboratory conditions too, because we're assuming there's no other wind affecting it between here and out there at 1,000 yards.
right.
Never mind that damn 6 mile an hour crosswind that's out there about 800 yards out that you just can't see.
Yeah. So now that's the other thing. Are we specifically talking this only in the effect of if the wind is consistent? Or does the wind not being consistent change the rules?
Windage is black magic, Mike. You know that.
Well, that's why I'm asking you the question.
You got lots of ways to read wind, and some of it's why I like prairie dog shooting, because most of the time, I'm dealing with a 10, 15, 20 mile an hour wind on the prairie, which is not unusual. 35 miles an hour is not unusual. So you have to kind of learn to read it, learn to read mirage, and learn to try between the distance that you're at, try to figure out how much drift you're going to have. And that's why a lot of us print tables up that will give us how much a bullet is going to move with a certain windage, and from what from a 90 degree, we print a table up and says it's going to move this much, and some of us will go and say, okay, I'm going to take one that's going to come from a 45 degree angle and say it's going to move this much, so I get kind of an idea how much different the wind is going to be, because I'm not going to just shoot one rifle all day.
Yep.
If I shot just one rifle all day, then I'd only have to deal with one wind reading, and as far as the direction it goes, to figure out how much I have to hold off or hold into the wind to hit my target. And it varies all the time. Is a bullet going slower at the muzzle affected more than a faster velocity at the muzzle? You just notice it less with a faster velocity, but it's still being moved.
But maybe with a faster velocity, I
If
guess
you, if you,
it's maybe like a half a degree versus a full degree.
it depending upon the BC of the bullet, okay, how
Okay.
the bullet overcomes the wind. I mean, if you got let's say you got a 500 BC bullet at 2,500 feet per second, and you got a 0.2, you know,
7.3.
a 0.273 bullet at 3,500 feet per second. All right. Well, the one with the smaller BC is going to get moved more by the wind, even though it's traveling at a faster velocity, but it's covering the distance faster. So they're going to both move about the same. If you understand what I'm saying, because they're close. It's close to half the BC, but it's going a whole lot faster. So
Yeah, the speed does not make up for the poor
BC.
ballistic
Right.
coefficient.
Right.
Okay. So if you know you're going to be shooting in windy conditions, you're better off looking for a higher ballistic coefficient bullet then.
Right. Definitely.
So Elkblood's next question. Next comment, what's brass prep and uniformity? Is worth the effort? What the hell? Elkblood, I know you're in Minnesota, but for God's sakes, please don't start speaking like Minnesotans. Okay, so I'm guessing that question is
Trolling.
no. The next question is supposed to be what brass prep and uniformity is worth the effort?
Sorry.
How do we talk this out now?
The
I
one
think
thing
it's
we've
actually
always
pretty
told everyone is consistency is king.
No, I think it's a pretty simple answer.
Okay. And your confidence.
Yep. What's your goal and your confidence? If your goal is minute a deer, no. If you're a bench rush shooter, absolutely. If you're a long distance shooter and 1 degree is huge, absolutely. But if you're a deer hunter, you don't plan on shooting farther than 150 yards and all you're looking for is minute a deer, then no. Trim the case and that's it. And clean it.
Clean it, bevel, deburr it, bevel the case mouth, you're fine.
Yep. That's it. I mean,
yeah.
Your bare minimums. And your bare minimums for brass prep are cleaning it and, trimming it to length, resizing it, cleaning it, I should say cleaning it, resizing it, trimming it to length. And then if you don't have a trimmer that chamfers and deburrs, you need to do that. That's it.
Right.
That's bare minimum brass prep on a necked case. Straight wall, it's a little simpler. But not much different. So, I mean, that's the bottom line there. If you're a long distance shooter, you're looking for you're looking for perfection. You're turning necks. You're uniforming the primer pocket. You're deburring the flash hole. You're your neck sizing. I mean, there's just
you're doing a whole lot more operations. You're gonna the primer pocket you're gonna clean out. You're gonna make sure that the primer pocket is all the same on all the pieces of brass. So you're gonna ream it. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna measure your primers and then set your primers to a certain depth that you feel is most advantage to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, annealing, you're going to do, you're going to set your shoulders back exactly to what you feel is going to work best in your gun. It's 1,000s, 2,000s, not set it at all, neck size it, whatever. Maybe you're going to sit down and say 2,000s, bring the neck down, and then run an expanding mandrel through it. You're going to weigh the powder charge out to, two hundredths of a grain, or maybe you got the new scale from Creedmoor Sports where it goes down to 1/100th of a grain. You're going to do that. Your bullets are going to be sorted by their length and diameter. You're going to check all that. There's lots
And
there.
weight. You're going to be checking case capacity,
Right.
sorting your cases like that. Michael Dunn's got a question that goes right along with that. With neck turning, is it better to turn the outside or to use a reamer and turn the inside?
Outside.
Okay.
Outside. The reason being is you're using a mandrel to hold the to move the brass out to that to the outside so you can actually ream it. Whereas a reamer, all you're doing is just, if there's a high spot and a low spot on the outside, you're not getting the catching it with the inside. Inside neck reaming is for when you have shot your brass enough times that you're starting to get a movement of brass from the shoulder to the neck, and you need to get that donut, we call it a donut, out of the neck. So yes, an inside reamer is good at times, but only for really worked over brass.
Yeah. I think Andy's comment, and we kind of you covered it as you were rolling along there, is annealing is more accuracy. It's because you're being more consistent. Your brass is in the same type of shape every time versus continuing to get work hardened more and more and not being as flexible, and you're changing your spring back rate every time as it gets harder. So I think that's kind of the thing there. And that's just a basic step that works well too.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I think that's, and that's something that I don't do that I need to get into, and definitely be getting an annealer at some point in time. So Jorgen wants to know, will a mandrel iron out in an internal donut, allowing for outside neck turning to take care of the excess brass?
It can, but I've never seen it do a good job.
It doesn't. My knowledge on that one is, oh my God, John. My understanding and from seeing that is not really, because you can never get full contact with the mandrel on the inside to get the donut because of the way the donut forms. I mean, it literally forms.
If your neck turning tool has an angle that matches the shoulder angle of the case, you can get down and peel back into there and get into it, and you can kind of get it.
Yeah.
But
you wouldn't be able to really get it from the inside.
For inside reaming though, catches it right away. I mean, it's not a problem. I mean, you don't resize the case when you're inside neck ream. You take the fired case and run that reamer through it, and that should cut that donut out. But I gotta say, I have a complete set of reamers, inside neck reamers, and I don't use them that often because you don't, I've usually pretty much worn the brass out by the time I get to that point.
Yeah.
And if you're really seating a bullet deep, then yeah, but most, boat tail bullets will get out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, usually you're not going to seat them the way they seat usually.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Chris. Yes, I'd love to get an IDOD, but I don't have $4,000 to spend on that.
So, and a lot of this is your mileage may vary. So,
yeah.
But I mean, like John's hand loading just said, cordless drill, deep well socket, propane torch, and you can do a nailing if you're careful and consistent. So, the key to that, if you're going to use a cordless drill, is you at a deep socket, you have to have some way to mount that drill so it stays in one spot, and you have to be able to lock the trigger so it's a consistent speed. That's going to be your trick there. And you're going to have to get a socket specifically sized for the brass. So when you drop that brass down into that socket, it stays in the same angle all the time and it's not wobbling or laying over and stuff like that. So yeah, you definitely can do it. And there's people that do it like that. There's people that have been doing it like that for years instead of buying like the EP20 or the Annealy's or Annie's induction or whatever, and it's pretty simple. Most people you can get a cordless drill for, $20-$30 now.
Yeah.
And you can buy you can go to Walmart's cheap tool section or your local home improvement store, warehouse store, and get a cheap set of deep sockets.
You don't even need to buy a set. You can buy one.
Yeah, sometimes you can buy just the one. But I mean, if you're going to do it for more than one cartridge, then
you may need more. But
just keep in mind, if you're going to take your brass in with you to find the right socket, they may look at you funny. Just warning you. So, but yeah, I mean, it's basically simple. And what I've seen some people do is they take their bench vise, they lock the drill in that to hold it in one place. You use a zip tie because you can slide the zip tie off the trigger and then it stays at a consistent speed. And then you've got your socket. So, and away you go. And then you either hold the torch or you make you can make some sort of rig or stack books or whatever the case may be to get the torch at the right level. So it's always in the same. Yeah. John's hand loading said, don't bring loaded rounds in to compare. Yeah. Make sure you empty brass.
Yeah.
They don't look at you as weird. 338 Super Pew says he likes assault annealing. He's got a Lee 10-pound pot. And then some jigs. So, I mean,
I have two issues with salt bath. One, I understand that they know it, but I can't see the brass getting hot enough. Okay. I mean, physically, I cannot see the brass is it getting hot enough?
Yep.
Because it is in this semi-solid or semi-liquid state. And then two is the same thing with lead. Any water around and that salt is you're in real trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It will a splash of water will cause that to explode. So I do have problems with that. And again, they're my personal problems. I'm a flame annealer. I learned the old way to flame anneal, which was a metal cake pan filled with about 1.5 inches of water to start with, and then you annealed the case in the water, and then when you got done, you knocked it over, because that way the base of the case, the case head never got hot that way. So you could anneal it without too much of a problem. Nowadays with Gerard's annealing made easy, which is the one you have, Jim, Annealy's, and the one that you use, Nick, you're pretty much capable of doing a lot of cases a whole lot faster and for not a whole lot of money. I mean, we're talking on the average between 300, less than $300 for any of those, other than the annealing made easy with the AmpMate and a Gerard. Okay, and they've just been around a long time. That's what you're paying for those.
Some of it you're paying for the name too. So,
well, sure, yeah, Gerard, you're paying for the name. AmpMate, you're paying for the technology, the new technology. Yeah. Little Annies are expensive too. Little Annies are going to run you $500.
Yep. Now, here's the thing. Just like John's hand loading was talking about drill and socket and torch, you can build your own annealer too.
Sure.
So I've seen a couple of YouTube videos where they're under $200 for everything.
Yeah,
but you got to be handy. So.
That's like Todd, his EP 1.0 he made, and he has the video still up there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is his 1.0. Yeah, as he was saying when he was on his 1.0, the video's still up there. All of the stuff that he used to make it is still there. The thing is, the 2.0, he fixed a lot of the shortcomings, and it comes to you pre-assembled. So, Michael Dunn said Little Crow Gunworks, which is home of the world's finest trimmer, has brass annealing mandrels if you don't want to use a socket. So that's another thought out there.
Yeah.
There's Jim Madaw.
And there's other things you can use to hold the brass too. Sockets are just cheap and easy. So, but Lead Bullet Junkie, when it comes to an S10, the answer on dropping a 350 in there is always yes. Always yes. There's no other option for that. It's always, always, always yes when it comes to an S10 and putting a 350 in it.
What do you got to do to the motor mounts?
Depending on what motor it had in it. If it had the 4.3 in it, nothing. Because the 4.3 is a 350 with 2 cylinders chopped off. It bolts right up. Now, if it had the 4-cylinder, they make conversions for the motor mounts. So there's kits out there. You can literally buy an entire wiring harness and everything you need to drop a 350 in an S10. All the way up to like 04. Now, when we did it back in 88, 89, 90, there was none of these kits. But the answer was still the same. Yes, put a 350 in it.
They're sharp out there, always spending somebody else's money.
Well, he's got a point. But I mean, if you're going to go 454, why don't you just go 502 Keith Black? I mean, it's the same size.
Probably wouldn't have any inner fenders.
No. We built a couple of S10s back in the late 80s. 2 Blazers, 3 pickups. The one pickup, we actually poured 2 inches of concrete in the bed. And
Why?
Wait.
Teal was able to light the tires up through the 60-foot mark.
Okay.
LBJ, that's because the spider injectors are crap. They've always been crap. They'll continue to be crap. So I'm sorry that you unfortunately had that problem. Because, yeah, that sucks. And that's the worst thing about those injectors is when you replace them, that's a definite possibility. He said it had a 4.3 in it. He got done replacing the spider injectors and somehow got an engine fire after pressure checking the fuel system for leaks. So what happens when you change out those spider injectors? Sometimes they don't snap in like they're supposed to, and you get exactly what happened. So he's not the only one I've heard with that. So back when I was still running the parts store, I had a guy that had a 2-year-old S10. He had 140,000 miles on it. He had to replace the spider injectors, and that's what happened. So. Oh, and Sharp LBJ says if you've got the extra engine laying around, then he'll go for the 7 miles per gallon 454. Well, I suppose that S10 does have a overdrive transmission in it, so he might be able to get 7 miles to the gallon out of it. Maybe. I mean, if he puts a Holley projection system on it, leans it out pretty good, he might be able to get 7 out of it. I mean, that's stretching, but.
We got a question from Running with Scissors here. Are you guys annealing mixed brass? 223/556, for example.
Typically, when you're going to anneal, yes, you can do it that way. You can go ahead and mix brass, but take the time, sort it by head stamp, sort it by cartridge. I mean, once you resize the 556, it's kind of a moot point because it's all 223 at that point in time. But still sort it by head stamp because different brass heats at a different rate because it's different alloys. So if you can keep your brass together, like say you bought like a 500 round pack of the bulk stuff, the green tip, and you shot it all. If you can keep that all together and then kind of do that all at once, that's typically going to be similar brass composition. So, but I mean, I'm not going to take 2 boxes of Remington core locks and take that brass and throw it in with that, 500 rounds of 556 and then, treat that all as the same brass. No, because it's going to be different. So,
yeah, keep your brass sorted. Lake City is Lake City. By year, sort it by year. The same thing with everything else. Sort your brass.
Yeah,
because it doesn't pay. Just because of all the differences in metallurgy that they put into brass, even though it is quote cartridge brass. Everybody has a little different recipe, and each one will take longer to heat. That's why the amp press has that where they interrogate the piece of brass with a computer as they anneal one and destroy one case to find out where it is different. And I think someone did a study on it and saying that between the numbers there was something like 10 different combinations of brass that they did with like a 15 piece 15 different head stamps. So they came up with 10 different numbers. So tells you.
Yeah. So the reason for the title for tonight is one of our newer listeners is a Tug Captain on the Gulf. And he runs back and forth between Texas and Mississippi. And so he spends a lot of time listening to podcasts. And so he was talking about he's looking for any info on casting, which we're going to do some stuff on casting at some point in time here. And one of his other questions,
Sharp, you are a bad man. I used that same exact vernacular a few years ago.
no, I'm looking at LBJ's comment after that. What kills me is I have a 355 aluminum head built motor sitting on my 64 C10. If you're not going to use the C10, I'll tell you what, I'll trade you my 650 for it. I've got a Dillon 650 sitting here. Trade you even up for that C10. So, no, where'd his other go? Okay, so he is looking for casting molds for 7 mag, 30-30, and 308 for some distance shooting. He wants to know what we'd recommend. NOE molds are great.
Seiko, Lyman.
Yeah, Lyman molds. Lees are okay, but yeah.
Lees are high production. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Precision, not so much.
Right.
NOE molds, the nice thing about that is he makes a lot of molds without lube grooves, so you can powder coat, which is something you're going to be looking at doing if you're going to be shooting long distance. So, just it gets you better. So, that was one of the questions he had. He also asked about Gordon's reloading tool, and I answered that a bit for him. So,
I think Gordon's reloading tool is stronger than quick load, a little more difficult to navigate around, and besides being, the nicest thing is it's free. So if you have the time to sit down and play with it, go ahead.
Speaking of NOE, I had this come in. I bought this the other day. Had it come in. So it's an expander plug for my Lee universal expander to expand out from 264 to 268 for all my different 6.5 cartridges. So yeah, it's only like $7 and it fits right inside the Lee expander. So
Hold it up higher there and let's see what you're okay with the die.
Oh, so yeah, just slides right in there, and then put the other one in there to kind of hold it down, and
okay,
just goes right in. Yeah, and he has them for all sorts of different sizes. So it's only like $750, so which I thought was cheap. So
yeah,
I mean, really nicely machined, and so
yeah, good quality stuff.
Absolutely.
Had the retaining pin fall out on one side only. John W. Well, I would send it back to Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
First. And hunt the for sale ads around looking for Seiko Lyman molds and even our CBS molds.
Yep.
Yeah, they're heavier to use and everything else. Or NOE, I'd go with NOE. You can get, some really nice molds with them. I don't mind Lee. I have a bunch of Lee molds. I'll be honest with you.
For Plinkin, they were great, but
yeah,
For precision, not really.
But there have been some issues with Lee and on even the molds that I have and the 6-gang molds. So yeah, it's definitely a look around and see if you can find some better molds. The steel molds, I find that they hold the heat better. Once you get them up to temperature, you can cast longer with them. You can also do little things like cool them down with a damp towel, and set the mold on the damp towel and let it cool off a little bit. Where you do that with aluminum, and you will cause a lot of problems because of aluminum transfer of heat.
Paul Loud said MP molds. Michael Dunn said Marty's Arms molds. So there's quite a few good molds out there. So I've heard good things about my MPs. I haven't heard about Marty's Arms, but yeah, no, NOE molds is really good quality stuff. So, and so is Seiko.
Even Lyman makes good molds. I mean,
Yeah.
Like I say, they're a lot heavier when they're steel. In NOE, you can get aluminum or brass. Don't they have like 3 different materials or 4 different materials they make them from?
Yeah.
So depends upon what you want to spend.
Nick, you need to fix that problem. Oh,
What's
that's right. You
that?
don't fit. Never mind.
What's
I
that?
forgot what your dad just posted. I forgot you don't fit. Never mind.
No, I'm too tall. It sucks. I want to drive, but I'm too tall.
I'll have to come down and drive it for him.
We put
Because I know I'll fit because I fit in my cousin's 67.
we can fold them in half and put them in the trunk.
Well, I'd fit in the car. I won't fit
He
in the
can't hit
driver's
the clutch.
Yeah,
we
the
were
clutch
talking
hits
about
me.
this in Vegas. He can't push the clutch all the way down.
It's terrible. I hate it. It drives me nuts.
So for those of you listening, Nick's dad just posted his 69 RS convertible with a 302 with a Muncie and a 12 bolt. Just sits as he's too busy to play because he plays with guns too much.
It probably hasn't left the garage in 5 years.
Yeah, we were talking about this out in Vegas, and I told Nick, I said, well, you need to drive it, and he goes, I can't. So, yeah. And yes, 302 is an actual Chevy motor too. Thanks, kids. So do your research if you don't believe me. We used to have so much fun messing with the twerps from AutoZone with that. So anyway, DW D37 wants to know: are any of you familiar with sighting it at maximum point blank range 0? I always sight my coyote gun at 200 yards, but thinking about using the maximum point blank range 0. Anybody? I've never even heard of it, but that's me.
I've heard of it, and Sierra publishes that, and so do a few other bullet companies. You pick a diameter, say 6 inches, so the bullet can only rise 3 inches and can only drop 3 inches. Okay, below the middle of that. So up 3, down 3 from the point of aim. So you can go bigger. You can go like 10 inches for elk or whatever. So the problem is people put so much into it that they forget some things like shooting downhill or shooting uphill, or just, if you're off your range estimation, let's say 5 yards off, you're at range estimation at the maximum point blank range of your gun, which let's say is 350 yards, and you're off on your estimate by 10 yards. Do you think you're going to hit or miss?
Miss.
Yeah. There's what we call especially on a coyote gun. I mean, you're limited. Coyote's chest is maybe 6 inches, maybe.
I'd go 4.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 for deer, so.
Right. And so your maximum effective point blank range is just depending upon the gun you're shooting, is a whole lot different between a 223 and a 22 250 or 220 Swift.
Yep.
So now set your sights at 100 yards, use a rangefinder, and then learn to dial your elevation, because that's the easiest one that you have to use. And if you have a front focal plane scope, you should have some dots in there that'll tell you where you're going to be at. If it's MOA or MILRAD, it's a lot easier to either dial or hold than it is to hope that you're right on with the maximum point blank range, because you have no idea exactly where the bullet is going unless you're going to sit down and shoot it every 25 yards, which is a whole lot of shooting from, say, 100 on out to 325.
If you get Sierra's app, under exterior ballistics, section 3.5 actually goes into detail of point blank range. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes through and shows you different things it's got. So, if you want to learn more about that, other than what Paul just extolled on it, so. Yeah, I don't know enough about it to know if it'd be an advantage or not, but from your description, Paul, it sounds like no.
I don't think it is. I mean, I'm going to sit down and say, a rangefinder, which is easy to use now.
I mean, you can buy one you can buy one for 400 or less. I mean, you can honestly, if you do it right, you can find one for 100, 150 that is going to be accurate to 200-300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
And where you're at, and I don't know the distances you shoot for coyotes, but out west, that's 400 plus yards that you can go, and you're beyond maximum point blank range. So
yeah, I mean, definitely
get yourself a good scope first.
Yeah,
Get a good front focal plane.
Well,
scope.
It depends on how far he's shooting.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, honestly, if you're not shooting more than 300 yards, a second focal plane is going to do you just fine, unless you're trying to shoot 300 yards at squirrels. Then get your first focal plane and have fun. Not that I'm going to recommend shooting at squirrels at 300 yards, but
Hey, that's it. Ground squirrels. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But ground squirrels are like this.
Yeah. Picket pins.
It's like two of these.
Remember, Mike, aim small, miss small.
I don't care. That's like longer than a frickin' ground squirrel. 2 308
Yeah.
cartridges.
Yeah.
Although I suppose if you're using a 17 HMR, there you go, get her done.
Take the head off.
That's right. Or if you've got one of those fancy new precision 22s that they use for shooting 400 yards. But I don't know if 22 would have enough oomph at 300 yards.
It has enough power to bust through a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood.
At 300 yards?
300 yards.
Wow. I am totally underestimating the abilities of a 22.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do.
Cool. Well, I know. I mean, you can shoot at 100 yards all day long, and it's effective at 100 yards because I've eliminated many a squirrel at 100 yards with it.
We're
As a
getting
matter
to
of fact, Rocky Vet 88 on YouTube, he put that up.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Paul?
We're getting in the age of precision 22s now.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to have the Remington model, the 40 XB, and the Winchester 52. Now all of a sudden we got CZ and what's the other one? The 14. The guy from the rifle from Spain, Bergara. They're coming out with reasonably priced 22 accurate rifles. $600 to $800 for a heavy barrel accurate rifle. Whereas
it used to be a $2,500 thing.
Right.
Well, actually, you can get a Ruger Precision for, and Savage has jumped in that game now, for $400, $450. Right. And they're a 400-yard rifle all day long. So,
but we're getting into that point. We don't have to go to a Voodoo where you're going to spend $2,900 to get a gun
or a Cooper,
or
I can't believe Cooper. I am just blown away by the fact we have a Cooper in the gun library. It's a 22 mag and it's a $2,700 freaking 22 mag bolt rifle. Why? Somebody explain this to me. I just can't fathom.
We have a question on screen.
So 338 Super Pew wants to know, so for loading a Wildcat 338 Lapua improved on a 30-degree shoulder, I've got a load up plan starting at max Lapua load with N570 and then 20 jump and working up in half green increments until pressure signs. So basically what he's doing is...
Wait a minute, Mike. He finished, he's 2 parts.
Oh, where's the second part? Dang it.
Right below it, then back off. There.
Okay, then back off and work in that range. Anyone have any input for this? 100 cases formed and ready to go. I have a pic that shows comparison if there's a way to show it. So, unfortunately, there isn't a way to show it. But basically what it sounds like is he did an Ackley improved job on a 338 Lapua.
Almost, yeah. He's 30-degree shoulder instead of 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, basic...
Here's this problem that he's going to have.
Yeah.
When he hits the maximum sign with the brand new cases that he's dealing with, he's going to ruin a couple of cases. He's going to ruin a few cases.
Yeah. Because you can blow out primer pockets.
Blow out primer pockets, blow the shoulders out poorly, and all that kind of stuff. He's got to load. he's got to load down to get his cases formed first. So if the recommended starting load for the Wildcat is the maximum load for 338 Lapua, then start there, fire all your cases, get your 100 cases formed that way, and then start to work your way up. And don't count on primer pockets, primers to be your friend in this situation. Learn to measure your case heads, and learn to see other signs of pressure. Velocities that are way out of line. You have to fire every round over a chronograph. So you got a little bit of work ahead of you. Not going to put you down. I mean, it's an interesting job to do a Wildcat on a 338. Why, I don't know, but and then talk to Chris Sharp here as far as 338s, and join us on Discord or MeWe or the Facebook. Show us some pictures of what you got and what's happening.
Yeah.
D-Dub D37. It's a 22-250 50 grain VMAX at 3,900 feet per second. Have a handheld thermal with a rangefinder at 200. It doesn't drop much. Had a guy tell me I'd benefit from an MBR. Maybe no. That's a hot load. I don't see it if you're 0 to 200. And I don't have my calculator here real quick, but I don't see. You can look it up to kind of get an idea what your drop is. Again, it's a 50 grain bullet, which is not a whole lot of mass there, and your BC is not the best in the world. But hey, try it both ways. Try, take it out, set it for your maximum point blank range, and then take it to a range that's got a 300-yard range, or if you have that, or measure out 300 yards, and then move back and forth 5 yards between that. Add 5 more yards, subtract 10 yards. See how it is at 300 yards on a target. Little playing around sometimes helps.
Indeed.
.338 says his cases are formed and ready. Okay. Well, you got a job ahead of you then.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is know that if you're gonna purposely roll up looking for pressure signs and that's how you're working it, then you're gonna probably lose a few cases.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes damaged brass doesn't show itself right away.
No.
It will throw flyers. But it's an interesting, interesting round there. Are you going to be shooting 2 miles with it, or? That's what I'd like to know. I mean, it's not a round that most people just want to go play with, especially in a wildcat.
Well, that kind of covers the questions we had for tonight. So,
Sharp and loud are at it again.
yeah, I know. So, want to take time to thank Jake and Wright over at Patriot Patch Company. This is the current patch of the month. The camera needs to be punched, I think. There we go.
There, you got it perfect now, right now.
So,
Boba Fett bunny.
and then they make a vinyl, and Jim showed you the already. So, yeah. Swing over to patriotpatch.co. Take a look. Michael Dunn, patriotpatch.co is the spot you want to go to. Hey, it's worked before, John. That's all I got to say. Swing over there, see all the cool stuff Jake and Ryan are coming up with all the time. They're always adding new stuff. If you're watching us live, they've got a new patch drop coming up Friday, 80s Heroes. It's looking kind of cool. So, otherwise, they got all sorts of cool stuff out there. So, check them out. As I was talking about earlier, Primary Arms, they sent me this nice Upter to play with, so I'm going to go test that out and see how well it does. Remember, if you're looking for suppressors, Primary Arms is a Class 3 dealer. So, as I've showed, they've got uppers, caliber conversions, charging handles, furniture sets, everything you need to build a AR. They've got everything you need to build a K. And they've got it everywhere from piecing it all together yourself to builder's kits to receiver sets to all sorts of fun stuff. So they've got some reloading stuff too, tools and stuff, not necessarily powder and primers, but they do carry some bullets too. So they got lots of fun stuff. So, and they sell full firearms too. So if you're looking for that, they got lights and lasers and optics. If you're going to buy a Primary Arms optic, use coupon code FRN to get a free mount for it. So they've got all sorts of shooting gear. If you're, security or law enforcement and you're looking for duty gear, they've got that too. They've got a bunch of regular clothing for all us regular folks too. So, and then they also have, if you're looking for armor, they carry armor. So you make sure you swing over and check them out. Primary Arms. John wants to see me smack the camera sometime. I don't even remember what episode it was, but I've smacked it once already. At least once. Because I smacked it out in the garage too. So there's at least 2 episodes where I've smacked that camera. And amazingly enough, it worked both times. So I can play darts. I just can't retrieve them. So that's the problem. But I can get into the gun safe without a problem, so that's a good thing. Other than that, thanks to everybody that joins us on the live chat. So,
Don't forget to hit the like button, guys.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, John W., yeah, once he gets his internet issues fixed, we're definitely going to talk about what you got to do to load up the big boys. So, there wasn't supposed to be any questions about boats. It's questions from the boat, you goofball. Jeepers. Whose dad is that anyway?
I don't know.
He's been disowned.
At least till he gets back anyway. If you've got questions, just send them to us, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can text us or leave us a voicemail, 608-467-0308. If you leave voicemails, we'll actually play them on air. So, but nobody's left us a voicemail in a while. Last person was Sharp, so, and I didn't want to scare anybody. So, yeah, send us text, leave us a voicemail, 608-467-0308. You can find us on MeWe, you can find us on Discord, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Instagram we don't get a lot of traction on because Travis doesn't post much and I'm not posting much right now. So, but as I start getting back into the swing of things and start doing more stuff, I'll start posting more stuff on Instagram. So I'll even post some reels. My niece was trying to talk me into getting to TikTok, but TikTok seems like an absolute crap platform. Listen to my wife try and talk to her friends on there, and you got to be careful what you say and how you do because you can get banned easily. So whatever. It's ridiculous. So no, we're never going to go on TikTok. Anyway.
Your reloading room is looking a lot cleaner there, Mike. You spending some time in there?
I've made some progress.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't somebody throw down a challenge about reloading rooms here recently?
I said we should have our listeners show us the reloading rooms.
Yep.
Sounds like a challenge.
It is.
So
we want to see what they what they have and how they're set up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember though, this is an audio podcast.
Oh, we have there's places they can.
We can post some pictures on Instagram, or we can put them on Facebook, or we can put them on MeWe or Discord. Definitely places to show them. So
yeah,
Discord definitely is a good way to go.
All right. So in the chat while we're talking, Sharp said send a text or call and leave a voicemail for Reloading Podcast. Mike will read them on there. And then said, Reloading Podcast, you never played that voicemail. You just brought me on the air 3 times to scar people for life. And Paul Loud, of course, started going to counseling because of that, Chris Sharp. Paul Loud, I'm pretty dang sure you needed counseling long before I brought Chris Sharp on the air. So nice try. So if you want to give us crap while we're on the air, join us for the live chat, 7 p.m. Central, Tuesday nights. If you want to give us crap anywhere else, find us on Facebook or Instagram or MeWe or Discord and give us all the crap you want. So, and on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the Millsap short bus.
Come on, girl.
Oh, is it my turn? Oh, we're going in order here. Ask a lady to reload. She just might enjoy it. Probably you'll be sneaking in your stash.
Jason Trumbo, I hope you heard that one. Remember the ammo box, 50 rounds left. He probably had 5,000 rounds in the box, and she left him 50.
Right? Teach Kathy to reload for crying out
She
loud.
didn't use all of them. That's the key thing here.
Yep.
She left them 50. Yes, that's right. Grandpa told me, don't listen to what Mama said. Violence does solve problems.
And as I always say, support the Second Amendment. Do what it takes. Put your money where your mouth is. I send money to the Second Amendment Foundation every month, religiously.
Yep. And if you're struggling, 1-800-273-8255. We need you here. Call them. They've got experts to help you. I know life's tough sometimes, but reach out. So, good night, all.
Good night.